there are some terms that I am becoming familiar with that when I read them as they relate to autism, they're the way that they're written down and defined to communicate aspects of being autistic to autistic people, for me, have been not specific enough or not clear enough, and this may be because they're written by non-autistic people to explain these aspects of the autistic experience. And anyways, I just wanted to talk about them and explain my perspective in it, and I think it probably relates to other autistic people's perspective. Anyway, so I think one of the terms that is going away, and I'm glad it is going away. There's the categorizations of high functioning and low functioning autistic people. And high functioning being somebody who can speak one thing and like hold a job perhaps, or have the ability to make social connections, and I don't agree with this, let me just say it. And then low functioning being somebody that needs like assistance with verbal or like toileting and stuff like that, or can't hold a job. The first time I told one of my sisters that I was autistic, the first thing that I often get when I haven't told very many people, but when I have told people, they respond being like, oh, well, oh, I guess you're like really high functioning. And the reason why this is pretty challenging concept is because, one, let me just say that everybody's abilities to function on a day-to-day basis really varies in general, right? So like, depending upon how many things somebody has to do, or like how many people are counting on them, or whatever, general responsibilities, somebody's ability to function, it's usually defined by somebody else, seeing them and observing them, and not how they are feeling about their abilities. And it's usually focused on like task completion. For my experience, when this has happened, it's confusing to me. And I guess it's confusing to the other people too, because they're probably not seeing what would look to anybody externally as pretty low functioning, even to the definitions which I don't like. So I just finished the part of the month that is my menstrual cycle, and let me tell you that ever since I was a teenager, early teenager, I have insanely struggled during that period of the month. And it basically, it's just basically pretty debilitating. And, I've completed, I've done medical interventions, I've seen doctors, and there's only so much that can be done for my experience going through that. And it is a sensory nightmare, And it is also an internal, real big challenge for me. So emotionally, it's a challenge for me, and like sensory wise, it's a challenge for me. I basically feel like, I tell my partner, I feel like a peeled grape, and like just everything is just too much. And so when I'm experiencing that, and that's, for me, it's a good chunk of a month. It's like a week and a half of a month where my verbal ability drops. I have periods of time where I can't form words. My cognitive ability is completely fogged up. Working, on a complex project is not a good thing for me. My physical abilities, my bones hurt, my joints hurt. It's like hard for me to do, stuff around the house because I get really tired fast. And I don't go into an office anymore. I work from home, thankfully. But yeah, it's like my mask is gone. I have like no ability to do that. So I come off as like, pretty flat, and I have to kind of really stay away from anything that would be challenging for me anyways, like going and doing anything out socially or whatever. I will tend to get migraines, so like if it's a sunny day or whatever, I might not be able to go. The light might be too bright, sounds are like, it's just, honestly, it's just a real big issue for me. So is that a high functioning person? It does not sound like it to me, because I'll often not be able to, really get the basic things done that I would need to do. I can't think through things, like being able to plan food is a challenge. What I can eat is a challenge. It's like I think I want something, and then I go to get it, and then my stomach turns, and it's just like all kinds of real big problems. So yeah, so I just wanted to, like, when people talk about high functioning and low functioning, it's not relevant even on a day-to-day basis. But then just when I'm not in that kind of space, like that, dealing with that stuff, I'm often still challenged by the things that challenge every autistic person, except like because I'm not deemed as having challenges making money, because I have a job. I'm not deemed as like requiring support needs. Like I don't qualify for any disability because I can do things that are defined as like capitalistic. In our capitalistic structure, I can survive. So I don't have like needs for people to accommodate that way. But it does mean that like a lot of that struggles or whatever is like kind of internalized. So any of my challenges that I might have are a lot of mental health and physical health challenges that I would deal with, but not so much that it would preclude me from being able to work and have like a place to live and stuff like that, which is really great, but it is also means that like I'm while I'm able to do that, it's highly challenging for me. So, and I also want to kind of go to the other side of it, like people that are deemed as low functioning. It honestly often means that they like can't speak or advocate for themselves or something like that. And I think it's dismissing a lot of capabilities of nonverbal autistic people, or just because they may have trouble with mobility and things like that. This is this like layer that gets put onto people that are deemed as low functioning as like lesser of like an intelligence or lesser capabilities, and that is very damaging because those things are completely different. You can be low functioning and highly intelligent, like may probably do my job sometimes better than I can, because my job is a lot of intellectual and like typing, and I don't end up really speaking that much. So I'm on the computer an awful lot. So it's just dismissing a whole lot of people that have abilities. They're just like abilities in maybe different areas that we don't deem as like observing externally as productive. So I don't know. It's just this challenge that I've had with this, and it frustrates me when I talk about myself being an autistic person, and people that aren't familiar kind of say things, and I think it's time that we really talk a lot about this and change this terminology. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. And the second thing I want to talk about is a couple of definitions, and the first one being interoception. And this is used a lot. It said that autistic people have trouble with interoception. And interoception, if you look it up, it's like the brain's perception of your body's state. And this can be like hunger, thirst, bodily functions, your heart rate, things like that, but can also be like emotions and like perceiving emotions, or like knowing that you're having an emotion. So the way that it's defined now is just like that you like have challenges. Autistic people have challenges with that, but I don't think we have challenges with that per se. I think that there are components of the way that our brain functions that makes it such that we're prioritizing certain things over other things. And I don't think it's that we can't perceive these things. I think it's that our brains are focused more on like one thing at a time. And at least for me, especially with the like hunger, thirst, bodily functions. If I'm doing something that I really want to do, or if I'm doing something that I'm really interested in or I'm really engaged in, I'm gonna just like be really in that state. And the other things my body does experiencing it, but like I don't want to stop doing what I'm doing, so I like will wait on those things. I think sometimes it comes up quickly and it like drops, like for example, hunger. That is one thing where I know that like I kind of always have to have like some snack or something available like when I'm go out and about, because I just like I'm so focused on like navigating and like getting to where I'm going, or like managing that. And sometimes I have my children with me, so I'm like managing that I kind of don't like prioritize the food thing and till like it's like the signal of hunger overwhelms like the other stuff. So, and then I have to focus on that task, and like when that comes up, it's like it has to be dealt with like immediately, and I can't switch to something else without like eating. So I have to do that. So I struggle with this definition because I don't think it's that we have poor abilities to perceive our body state. I think we more have a way of going about things that is more focused, and that's why it looks like we have poor abilities to perceive our body's state. For the emotional part of interoception, this is not, how do I describe this? This is like, I don't have poor abilities to detect emotions. I just have so many emotions. And I think that as autistic people, we perceive the world as a very complex and nuanced thing. Now, this is going to lead me to the next definition that I've always struggled with when it comes to autistic, like words that are used for autistic people, and that's Alexithymia. And in my last video, I talked about I have a hard time putting like explaining things in words and putting and like trying to describe what's going on with me with words. So alexithymia is difficulty labeling feelings with words. And this is true in a way for me. But it's not, the way that it reads is like that it's a deficit. That autistic people have a deficit in using words for describing feelings, and that is not how I experience it. How I experiencing it is there's a deficit in language. There's not a deficit in my ability to have the nuanced feelings. It's not a deficit in it's not a deficit in my ability to communicate per se. It's like there aren't enough words to describe the things that I'm feeling or that I have going on internally. So if I could like take the pictures or something of what's going on in my head and like project it, like if I had the ability to like communicate that via like an image, or like and when I write, or like if there's like a song or something that can like encompass this, that for me feels like the full spectrum of what is going on with me. When I'm limited by like the words that are available to speak, it's like it's not adequate. So it's not a deficit with me, it's a deficit with like verbal communication, such as that's structured. And again, I really think this comes back to like the way that we prioritize connecting with people has always been like it, well, not always been, but like the way that we do it now. And I think it's based on like what is beneficial for like consumerism is like words, like verbal like abilities. But that is not the world that I live in inside myself. I experience like way more broader range of experiences than, and I think most autistic people do, than the majority of neurotypical people or non-allistic people, or oralistic people. It's just the like mechanism for like getting it to somebody else is like limiting. It's like a bottleneck. So if you wanted me to like describe what's going on with me, I have to like play you a song or draw a picture or something like that. That would be a better way for me to communicate my feelings. So this is just something that I think that I have a difficulty with the language surrounding autism. And so this leads me to like one of the last things I want to talk about, because I'm kind of flowing towards this, is the perception or the thought that autistic people have difficulty with empathy. And like, oh, if you are able to kind of connect with other people or whatever, that must not be autistic, or that you're not autistic enough or something. And so the trouble about that is that it's not as simple as struggling with empathy. There are different kinds of empathy. And when you like kind of look up like what are the types of empathy, you'll get like emotional empathy, cognitive empathy, and compassionate empathy. So emotional empathy is the ability to is you feeling somebody else's feelings, and like experiencing that yourself. And cognitive empathy is being able to put yourself in somebody's shoes and like understand what they're going through. And compassion empathy is like the drive to do something about that, about somebody's problems. And so it's not just simple as a lack of empathy, but again, I think it's like how somebody perceives your empathetic abilities. So I know for a lot of autistic people, they have high emotional empathy, and it's not surprising because we have like increased sensory sensitivity. So if somebody is experiencing something that's emotionally difficult for them and we're in the presence of that person, if you're like a highly sensitive, like if you have high sensitivities, you are going to pick up on like states of dysregulation pretty easily, and it's going to impact your nervous system. So for me, my nervous system is highly impacted by somebody that is experiencing emotional events. So I have real high emotional empathy. So if somebody is experiencing something and it's disturbing for them, or like, you know, I mean, I suppose it could be like jubilation for them. Like, I'm going to get impacted. My nervous system is going to be impacted by that. And it's going to be like responding to that. And so I do have like high emotional empathy. And I think a lot of autistic people do have high emotional empathy. The compassionate part, the ability to do something, or wanting to do something, that is going to really like vary for me based on who that person is, because like socially I might not want to like socially for me, like I would probably be more dysregulated by somebody paying attention to my emotional state. If it was dysregulated, it could add to my emotional dysregulation. So like I start thinking like, well, maybe if I don't know them well, that they might not want me to like interfere or like do something for them. So there's like, you know, that kind of thing. And also it's like, I would have to be careful about additionally impacting my nervous system, because the more time I would be around somebody that is experiencing emotional dysregulation, the more that I'm going to be impacted, and then my abilities to do other things are going to be affected. So like if it's my child and they're experiencing emotional dysregulation, of course I'm going to like show up and like support them and help them and compassionately do something if I can to like get them through what they're going on. But even that will have I'll have to have a recovery time for my nervous system to recalibrate, and that includes like being on my own and being able to do what I need to do to recalibrate myself. So there's like always like a cost analysis going on there's that. The cognitive empathy part. I think there are autistic people that are really good at this. Everything is kind of like a spectrum. There are autistic people that are really good at like understanding what somebody is going through, like putting themselves in somebody else's shoes, like logistically, and kind of like knowing logistically what to do to help that person. For me, my cognitive abilities are not that great. My cognitive empathy abilities are not that great. Like if I'm not around the person, like somebody's there's two times when I've experienced challenges with this. When somebody's relaying a story to me and they are relaying it to me, or a situation to me, and they themselves aren't expressing emotion through it, I don't feel like the emotion, so I don't really know what they're feeling I don't really know what they're experiencing or how they experience the thing that they're telling me. So I don't, and if I haven't experienced it before myself, I can't put myself into their shoes. I don't understand what they're going through. Again, because I feel like emotions are so complex and nuanced that like I can't really know how they're feeling or what they're feeling, or yeah, so there's that. And if I really if the situation is very foreign to me, like I haven't experienced it before, then I would struggle with that. Like I have been in situations before where I've decided to put myself in, like intentionally put myself in a situation so I could understand somebody else's experiences. So the way that I grew up was like, I understood was like fairly privileged, as far as like I didn't struggle as like we didn't struggle for economic stability when I was a child. That those needs were met. I didn't worry about basic needs at all. But when I went to college, I met all different kinds of people there. Granted, it was college, so the people there were already pretty advantaged. But there were people that came from different backgrounds that I came from, and you know, were there on scholarships or whatever, or came from economic situations that weren't nearly as privileged as I was. And it was kind of like like initially like a shock to me, like because I was so sheltered where I grew up, how I grew up. So I decided that I didn't want to live like I grew up anymore. So I refused support from monetary support from my family that they may have otherwise been able to give me, and I worked through college. And then when I left, I just tried to live in a way that was more like similar to people who might be like not from the same background that I was from, so that I could like experience what it felt like to like stress about finances, and like, you know, really live paycheck to paycheck and not know how you're gonna make ends meet. And I ended up like, I live in a pretty rural area, but I figured out how to like take a bus to work. I couldn't afford gas to drive, because my job was so low paying, that I had to figure out how to get to work. And it was like a long bus ride, and like just trying to figure out how to get food, and sometimes I would not be able to buy food and stuff like that. But it was important to me to like experience what it was like for the majority of this country, to be able to understand that not everybody has privilege, and that and so I could more recognize what privilege meant. And that being said, like I fully recognize that I am a white appearing and also like educated person. So my situation, even as I contrived it to be more equal, is not equal to people that do not have the advantages that I have. But it was important to me to at least try, because I do have the deficit of like not quite understanding. I really felt like I couldn't be a well-rounded person if I didn't experience like hardship. So yeah, I've done that to try to help with my my challenge with the cognitive empathy part. I still feel like I have, I mean, the breadth of human experience is so vast that I still feel like there's a lot that I don't know still. But yeah, so I feel like I went a bit like off topic. But anyways, so a lot of times that people are weighed or like looked at empathy as like one single thing, and that being like the ability to like understand or like put yourself into somebody else's shoes. But I would be willing to argue that autistic people in general are, if they are able to show up for somebody, it's like from a like really authentic perspective, and a lot of times neurotypical people like can look like they're showing up empathetically, but it's not coming from like a lived experience. And it's sometimes I feel like it's like pretending, and not really actually having the empathy that I'm describing. It's more like a nicety or something, like, yeah. So I really do struggle with this concept of lack of empathy, because I really don't think it's true. Anyways, I am going to try to do another video at some point discussing a different topic, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to interview my partner. He's agreed to do it, and I'm going to talk about demand avoidance, and I'm hoping that's my next video, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, so I just want to say like thank you for watching, and as always, like I really would like to hear back from you for if my experience resonate with you, or if you have more to contribute, and if these things kind of frustrate you too, about how, you know, we're the definitions or the terms that are used in conjunction with autism is like just very limiting. I mean, at least it feels like for me. All right, thanks for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you.